Jack, what is your topic? Constipation.
He's going to do a soliloquy
What
about
are your
constipation.
thoughts on it, isn't it?
So, welcome to Drunk Discussions, the show where we get drunk and we chat shit. I thought I'd introduce myself first. I'm Grace. Who wants to go next?
I'm Jay, and I'm alcoholic.
I'm Conrad, and I'm definitely not.
I'm Jack. I'm happy to be here.
So, basically, the 3 rules of drunk discussion is, first rule, find 3 friends to drink with. 1, 2, 3, bish, bosh, bash. That's done. Second of all, we will each come up with a topic. So we've all come up with a topic and we're all going to discuss that. It can be serious or it can be fun. Either way, your choice. Point number 3, or rule number 3 rather, is drink alcohol and progressively get more drunk. So cheers to that, guys.
Cheers.
Lads.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's just hit the road, Conrad.
Alright, so tonight I thought kick things off by talking about irrational fears. Everyone's got one. I'll start by admitting mine. I've got an irrational fear of roller coasters. Can't do them. Can't deal with them. Seriously, like, and it's one of those things where like it's irrational, right? Because like I know statistically, like if I drive, that's like 10 times at least more deadly than getting in a roller coaster or an airplane. Like that's deadlier. But like I will happily jump on a plane or drive a car around before I do a roller coaster. And I mean like a proper big one, like, you know, little kid ones I'm fine with, but like, you know, ones that have like loops and bits where you go upside down and like 70 miles an hour. No, I can't deal with it.
So is it literally just being in one, or could you like look at a roller coaster and freak out, or is it just being in one? Like, oh my god, it's a roller coaster, don't go to Thorpe Park.
I can definitely look at them and stuff. Like, I mean, it was one of those things I didn't really realise until I got like older. Because the thing is, like, when I was like a little kid, I used to love going to like Legoland and Chessington and stuff. Because like the roller coasters there aren't actually that like big. Like they're pretty manageable. But then when it got to, I don't know. I mean, the first time it really set in for me was when I went with my mates to Thorpe Park, and we were in the queue for Saw the Ride.
Ooh.
And it's the first time ever that I've genuinely sort of like had a panic attack, and I was just sort of like, no, guys, not happening, just not happening.
Oh, no. Was it before or after?
Sorry?
Was it before or after you went on the ride?
It was before. It was in the queue. So like at the start of the queue, I was like, oh, this is fine and stuff. But the closer we got to it, the more I was just like, nah, not happening.
I screwed up my neck on that ride. That was like...
Really?
I like I swear, like my head, I was in it, and then I whacked my head so hard afterwards. I was like, for half an hour, just slightly out of it. So
I feel like Colossus is like that as well. Colossus is like a headbanger one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there like kind of a type of roller coaster you could do? For example, like if you go to Thorpe Park, could you do something like the Flying Fish that just kind of goes around?
I can do log flumes, weirdly enough. I have absolutely no problem with log flumes. I think that might just be because it's so simple. It's just up, down, like, and it's like it's water. It's like control. I think it's got to do with the fact that I'm in a car going at like nearly 100 miles an hour, and I have no control over it, and it's going all over the place. Whereas like
with log flumes, you're going like 2 miles an hour, aren't you?
Huh? With
log flumes, most of it you're going like 2 miles an hour.
Yeah, and even when you do the drop, it's like, okay, there's like a load of water at the bottom. Like I'm not gonna like just crash into that. I'm gonna be, you know, dropping into some
splash into that.
So for instance, tidal wave at Thorpe Park, I love tidal wave. I did tidal wave like 4 times in a row. It was great.
Nice and moist.
Yeah, you know me.
Oh god, we're at that already.
That's my big irrational fear, roller coasters. So yeah, what are your guys? Everyone's got one. Don't pretend you haven't.
I have one final question about the roller coasters.
Yeah, go for it.
Could you do one a roller coaster that's like pitch black, like No Way Out, where you can't see anything?
I did actually do No Way Out, and I could, because the thing is, like, it's not the fact I can't see anything. It's like, I think it is a mix of like the speed, the size, and like the inversions. Like, because the No Way Out is essentially like, if it wasn't in the dark, it would be like a little kid's ride, wouldn't it? Like, pretty much. It's like not that big of a roller coaster. So I'm just fine with that. I really just like, it was just looking at stuff like Colossus and the Swarm and stuff, and I was just sort of like, nah, just I cannot. Looking at it made me feel on edge.
It's weird because I'm the complete opposite with roller coasters. Scarier the better.
That's fair enough.
Jake's just hanging on the side of it, just going, fucking go!
I love the adrenaline.
Yeah. Well, that's why I would never be one to suggest a theme park with you guys, because I feel I would let the side down.
No lads trip to Thorpe Park then.
No lads trip to Thorpe Park.
Oh, I was actually thinking about Alton Towers as well for like the first getaway.
I've never been there.
I've actually got a story about that.
Oh yeah.
You know, do you remember a few years ago when the Smiler ride, there was someone like broke their leg or something, someone's leg got,
yeah, that story.
Covered, yeah. I was actually there on a school trip the day before that happened.
No way, I was too.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, no, we saw you.
Jeff didn't know you.
Did you go on the Smiler that day?
Yeah, but it was having like problems all day. The ride closed down about 5 times in that day. Wow. And everyone was like, why don't they shut this ride down? It clearly doesn't work. And then the next day we saw on the news that someone had buggered their leg.
So you were probably like, chances are you were within like 5 or 10 go-arounds of getting your leg sawed off.
Yeah, probably.
So, Joe, what's your irrational fear?
I mean, I could go for the easy one and say darkness, but that's boring. This one's really sad. I have a real fear of being liked.
Liked?
Yeah,
okay.
So for an example, if I go to like a sort of social gathering or party or something, I have a real fear of, if everyone knows each other and you're kind of like the person that doesn't really know anyone, I have that real fear of kind of, oh God, I hope everyone likes me.
So your fears of being unliked.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Get Ready was a good example of like, you know, all these people you've never met before, and you really, I don't know, just really kind of, oh God, if no one likes me, this is like a disaster, this is an end, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And you always look back, don't you? And you're always like, who cares?
Yeah.
No, I'd agree with that, because you are just like, what if no one likes me? What if you know, they don't know? Because in school, I knew everyone there. And it's really terrifying when they're like, yeah, no, you're Jack, aren't you? Going, yeah, how do you know my name? Oh, no, mate, I was told her. Going, fucking what?
Yeah, I guess it's like that kind of, you want people to like you, but at the same time, it's kind of scary when everyone else, like you say, with NYFA or NYFA, I kind of like, everyone else was socialising and set ready, and I kind of didn't as much because I thought I missed my opportunity on the first night to establish the friends. And by like the third night, everyone seemed to know each other to me. So I was like, oh, okay, I just won't join in.
I have like this weird coping mechanism as well, where I just kind of, if I'm like in a crowd that's completely new and I don't know like half the people, I always have to do this thing where I have to adjust myself to be overconfident and over chatty, over funny, and just like play myself up. And it's so horrible because it's just so unnatural.
Yeah.
Horrible. But obviously, like, now being around like all you guys now, it's like, oh, for goodness sake, well, didn't need to do that. And it's like, I look back at my like set ready hostel life now, I'm like, oh, I overplayed it so much, like trying to fit in.
I do remember looking back at some old messages, like the first message you sent me. It was,
that's, for example,
so
like,
nice to me.
I was like, oh, I mean, that freaks me out now. But like, I was definitely that set ready member, but when I joined, I had to message all 100 people that I just joined with me, and I had to say hello to all of them because like I need to be on good terms straight away.
Yeah.
And like looking back now, it's so cringe looking back now.
I was nice to Grace. What the hell is wrong with me?
I mean, to be honest, it sounds like just your bog standard paranoia, isn't it? Just kind of like, like, you know, what does it mean? Who cares? Blah, blah. Am I going to leave an impact on life? you know what you're going to do. Grace, our host, what is your fear?
My irrational fear, I mean, I've got lots of fears, but kind of I have this thing called trypophobia. So I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like if you Google trypophobia, the first thing that comes up is like the exact thing I hate. It sounds really weird to describe, but it's like, I know people are going to laugh at this, but it's like lots of like little holes.
I know the one you're talking about.
It's a weird like pattern of just like, I don't know, it's just anything that kind of resembles kind of lots of little holes together. Like if I've ever had like an allergic reaction and I've had like, I don't know, you know, if you like brush past a nettle bush or something and then you get that bubbly skin, like, oh, I hate that. It makes me, I freak out. I can't look at it. Looking at moldy things that have lots of those like moldy kind of bubbles, I'm like, no, cannot look at it. I freak out. I gag. I'm like, don't know why. It's got worse as I've gotten older.
You ever watched the remake of the Invisible Man?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, the suit in it. Yeah.
They have a suit that is like just full of camera spoilers. It has a suit that is just a load of cameras on it, and it also it tripped a load of people up on, I think that, and it's the one where you have a fear of eyes, because it does look like a load of eyes, but it does look like
I think they did that deliberately to get people to feel uneasy.
You know,
and stuff.
That Doctor Who episode with Tim Shaw and the teeth.
Yes, the teeth.
I could not look at the screen.
Really?
Yeah.
The face with all that teeth, I was like, I had to literally every time he came on the screen just like cover it, because I was like, no, it's like Tim Shaw. No, don't like him. Don't like Tim Shaw. He can
Or at least you know what your fear is called. I mean, I don't think there is one for roller coasters.
Dying.
Too fast phobia.
Too fast to see.
So Jack.
Yeah, what the hell is my word for it?
You have no fear. You're fearless.
I've come to accept like I used to have a real irrational fear of spiders. Just like one reason set this off for me. Once when I was sharing a bedroom with two of my brothers, I had to sleep in a cot, and because of that, I had to stare directly at the ceiling. And because of that, one day a big spider, just came down and landed directly on. And this is after I'd heard the story of, you know, you eat a spider every night, and I had just woken up to basically a spider on my mouth here. And it's just the way they move. But then I've gotten better at that one now. Like there's a spider that lives in the corner of my room somewhere. I lose track of him. The moment I lose him, that's when I get worried. I'm trying to think of a proper irrational fear, and I can't think.
That having a spider land on your face and wake up to that is quite traumatic. Like, I'm not even that bothered about spiders, but I wouldn't like that. Like,
I've got to say, when things move without any reason, that really freaks. Like, I will be freaked out for the rest of the day, because I've had several things like that happen to me now. Like, again, sleeping in the same room, the radio that was above my brother's bed fell off and fell on my head. But there was like nothing connecting it to anything, so it wasn't pulled off, and there was nothing that pushed it off. So it just fell off.
Oh no!
And it wasn't even like it was precariously placed. It was a big shelf, and it's a big radio, and it just fell off and cracked on my head. But
I mean, it explains a lot, but yeah.
But anything like that, because like working in the shop, sometimes things just fall off the shelf that have been perfectly fine all day, and then I'll be just, every time I walk past it, I'll just have to kind of quick step it. Just because I'll look at it and go like, it makes no sense why you fell. Why did you fall?
Just start screaming at inanimate objects.
No, I wouldn't do that again.
Is it linked to something specifically, like, I don't know, like ghosts or something, or is it just you can't explain it? That's what freaks you out.
Yeah, the unknown.
See, I really like the unknown. As in, like, it's the unknown. You get to learn about it. But
Into the unknown.
No.
That song played in my head, and I tried not to sing it out loud because it's been playing in my house for like last 3 days.
Yeah.
But if it's the unknown, you can't ever learn anything about it. That's what delineates it as the unknown.
Boom.
So,
Real-
like, how can that give you any kind of comfort or satisfaction?
Just give me a hug.
The unknown gives you a hug.
That's just give me a hug. Oh,
I think it makes it more tragic that we can't at the moment. That makes it
yeah. Oh, fucking pandemic.
Actually,
I mean-
there is one thing I am really terrified of, and that is just losing my memory.
Oh.
And not in the sense of like, oh, memory loss. It's more of when someone says like, no, I told you about this yesterday. I'm like, I have no memory. And like, even when it's a message that they've sent me, so you can go back and see it and go like, I don't remember this at all. Like, what the hell was I doing then? And
I literally have, there's moments of my teenage years, there's loads of chunks from my teenage years and a couple from my early 20s that I cannot remember. Like, I spoke to my therapist about this and she was like, oh, it's linked to depression. So I was like, oh, brilliant. Like, literally, there's moments
So I
like,
shouldn't laugh, that's not funny.
my friends were like from school were talking about, I don't know, some lesson we used to have every couple of weeks with this teacher, and I was like, I do not remember that. And they were like, don't you remember, like, all this like hilarious stuff happened because it was like such a waste of time? And I was like, I don't remember that at all. And that is quite scary. So I get that when you just forget things and you're like, why don't
I find the opposite scary as well when you watch like quiz shows and that, and a question comes up and you're like, for example, Millionaire. When a question comes up and you're like, when the question comes up before they come up with the options, you're always like, well, I've got no idea, know nothing about that. And then the answers come up and somehow you know it. And you're like, I can't figure out how I know that. Like, it's one of those things, I probably heard it in conversation once 7 years ago and it stuck with me, but that freaks me out. Because I shouldn't know that.
Is that not a good thing though? You know, that your brain, you know, has been able to hold on to all this, you know, useless information, or useless until that very moment.
No, I do get what Jay means, because it is really freaky when you're just sitting there going, like, it's when, especially when someone like questions you on it and goes like, how did you know that? And like, I generally have no clue. I am just as shocked as you are.
I get that.
Oh God.
Like, one of the examples was like cricket. I think I played cricket once or twice in my life. I did like a cricket club for like a week or two. And one of the questions was like, when an umpire does that in cricket, what does it mean? And for some reason, I just knew what it was. And it's like, I don't know how I remember that.
What does it mean?
Because I didn't play cricket. It means someone scored a 6.
Huh.
But it's like, I don't know how I know that.
You know, like Ring of Fire, like Heaven, and you're like, that's what I think of.
I was going to say, what was like your biggest fear as a child?
I have a sad one, but it's
go for it.
Like, I'm part of a big family, so mine was just a pure abandonment. No, I don't like. I don't mind. There are days where you're like, I really want to be on my own, but there are other days like if you talk to someone, or like if you message someone and then you don't get anything back, that's like, oh, okay.
No, I get that.
It gets me terrified, because my brain either goes like, oh, maybe I've done something to upset them, or my brain also goes, maybe they're hurt. So that was one thing. It's something I still get a little scared of, but it's more manageable now. You're just like, oh, they're just probably on the toilet.
That's so much deeper and darker than my answer.
What's your answer then?
Postman Pat.
What? It's back of my
yourself.
I don't know why. I just used to have nightmares about it. Something about him. I don't know if it was the big nose. I don't know if it was the size of him squeezing into a tiny little van. I don't know what it was. Just something about Postman Pat freaks me out.
The big nose is there, Jay.
Yeah.
What's
wrong with noses?
Well, nothing. I mean, look at the size of mine, but I thought I was cursed. I don't know if it was the design or the
event that happened. Like you had some kind of trauma while Postman Pat was on, and then you've always like associated trauma with.
I reckon what's happened in an episode of Postman Pat, something has terrified me in that episode. And then, I don't know what it is, but for about 3 or 4 years, from like the age of 4 to 7, I'm just really scared of him.
I mean, mine was simple. Mine was literally just the dark. So, Postman Pat, the dark, abandonment. What about yours, Conrad?
I don't really know, to be honest. I don't have many memories of being frightened as a child.
You were the tough kid, weren't you?
Yeah, his balls dropped at the age of 4.
I think it was more a case of like, I mean, I made a point of not interacting with people when I was younger, just because, I mean, people suck.
Yeah, I drink to that.
And it was more just sort of like when I was in primary school, I could kind of, this is going to sound terrible, I could kind of tell that I had nothing in common with my peers. So I just kept completely away from it.
Very different to me.
I think actually, in a weird way, if you had to say what would have been my biggest fear, it probably would have been like being called to the front of the class or being like expected to do something in some kind of leadership capacity, just because I just couldn't be fucked. I was just sort of like, nah, not gonna happen.
Like that shit.
I'd love to.
Yeah, no. I don't say that to sort of suggest like, oh, I was better than them or whatever. I mean, I was, but I'm not suggesting that. It's more like I knew that I just wasn't gonna be friends with any of them, and I wasn't, and I'm still not, and
never will be.
Yeah, I have absolutely no regrets from that.
You know what? That's like and on that note, that's the perfect end to the Irrational Fears. I'm better than everyone. Fuck them all.
Yeah.
I am.
Cheers.
I am a queen fucking bow.
That was an interesting. I'm already feeling the alcohol in my cheeks, so
Yeah.
getting there.
I'm feeling hot.
Feeling hot. So, the next topic, Jack, take it away.
If I'm going to take it away, I'm going to take another drink. I have an alcohol license now.
This is going to come in handy once the pandemic is over. This alcohol license.
Wait, can you sell alcohol or something?
Yeah, no, it allows me to sell alcohol, and if I rent out an area, I can buy alcohol and sell it on the premises of where I order it.
Oh, fair enough.
That's great.
It's like the most hated word at the moment is when.
When.
I hate that word.
I hate the word unprecedented. That
Why?
can go fuck itself. Unprecedented. Oh, unprecedented times. Oh.
I hate the word.
Well, Grace, that was an unprecedented choice.
I just hate language.
Absolutely is the word.
I hate the word.
I also hate the word
So
positive.
positive.
Think positively.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Positively positive. It's an absolute victory.
I've always hated the word soliloquy.
Ooh.
All right,
I don't know why. I don't hate the concept of soliloquies. I just hate saying that word.
Ooh. I love the word consequently.
We're going to say constipated.
Got nothing against that one.
Constipated too. Anyway, Jack, what is your topic? Constipation.
He's going to do a soliloquy
What
about
are your thoughts
constipation.
on it? Is it? Because I work in a customer service situation, so I'm always dealing with people, and you always meet sort of really polite people or really rude people, and there are sometimes a mid-ground. So I think it's just like, what are your opinions on like someone being overly polite and someone just being straight up rude, or like not using please and thank you? Like,
well, I'm very much of the, like, I was taught to say please and thank you, like, not like as in a try hard way, but just like literally, can I have something please, or if someone gives you whatever you ask for, thank you, that kind of stuff. But like, I don't know, I've also worked in retail, so I know what you mean by the politeness and the really rude shitty people. So I don't know, I think there's a case of sometimes with politeness, sometimes people can be too try hard. Like you can tell when someone's faking it, like just over like complimenting everything, and I'm like, I don't mind the odd compliment, but when it's like constantly like, oh, you look amazing today, oh, you're wonderful, oh, blah blah blah, and I'm like, after a while I'm just thinking, what do you want? Like, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. Like, you want something, and I don't know what. I
guess I would also ask is like, would it's kind of a bitchy thing, but like, would you ever judge like? Because like I said, in a retail sort of situation, like of course you deal with like sometimes kids, and you see like that how they act, and then you see their parents who are with them, and you're just like, if I ever did that as a kid, I would get a clip around the ear roll, and I mean like not even I wouldn't be threatened with. I mean like no, I would get clipped around the ear roll.
Kids these days, they don't know.
I don't judge the kids. More often than not, I'll judge the parents. I think it's down to parenting. So when I was working at a pub while I was at uni, there was one time when this little kid was just running around and stuff, and he was going to all the tables outside and like taking the salt dispensers and like emptying them onto the table and running off. And I told him, I didn't tell him off, but I was just sort of like, can you not do that, please, and stuff. And
please don't.
Send back to, well, yeah, kind of like, please don't do that. And he's just like, all right, fine. And then 2 minutes later, he was doing it again. And I found his dad, and his parents had clearly been there like drinking for a couple of hours and stuff. Like this kid was clearly bored out of his mind. And I just sort of told the dad, I was like, look, sorry, sir, but your kid keeps doing this on clean tables and stuff. Like, can you please take care of him? And then he called the kid over and he had a word with him. He just said like, yeah, I just spoke to my son. That didn't happen. He says that wasn't happening. I was just sort of like, yes, it is. Like that is happening. And he's just sort of like, well, he says it's not, and he doesn't lie. And I'm just like, all right, you know what? I just walked away at that point. I was like, I cannot be fucked to do this.
Yeah. I do hate it when you have parents who goes like, well, my son would never do that. Going like,
yeah.
I'd like to say I was raised as a nice enough kid, but every now and then, like, my parents would get told, like, yeah, no, your son's kind of just taken something from our table. I don't think he meant to, but he just took it. And like, Jack, did you take it? No. What did you take, Jack? I didn't take anything. What's in your hand then? Okay, I took it. Yeah. So, like, I really hate it when it goes like, my son would never do that. Going like, you clearly don't know children then.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing. They're just like, this is something I like. I'm having that.
I hate when parents are in denial. When I used to work with kids, I used to hate when parents were in denial. You'd always have to kind of like, if one of the kids had like kind of misbehaved or done something wrong, you'd always speak to the parents afterwards. And they'd always, like you say, always be in denial and kind of like, no, my kid would never do that. Like Jimmy would never do that. It's not like Jimmy, but like Jimmy would never do that. And just be like, I don't.
They always have
double
Disney names. The kids that never get in trouble, they're always like Timmy or Jimmy or fucking Bob.
Yeah.
Like no.
I really hate to say this. But,
I like it. Disney name. What's your first Disney character that you think of? Bob.
When working with kids as well, we used to have this thing where like it's really hard. I feel so sorry for the kids looking back now, but if we hated their parents, then we hate their kid. We had this kind of thing where like kind of a few of the members of the gym, like I just couldn't stand them as people, so because of that I hate their kid. And it's like the kid has done nothing wrong whatsoever, but if we're ever playing a game,
There's something about
I would like put him to the back of the game because I hate your mum and dad, so you're going to be at the back.
Oh no.
Nice.
Well, that's definitely not right.
I'm so sorry, but their parents would just anger me so much with rubbish. And just be like, it'd always be like the braggy parents. That's the ones the kids I'd make suffer. Like, oh well, my Joshua, he's just been into private school and he's going to get the best education and he's going to be a lawyer. Well, then he won't mind being at the back of dodgeball, will he?
Jay, when were you working at this gym?
Everyone aims at Josh. He's a prick.
Yeah. I worked.
Josh gets a tuner.
I won't name the gym, but I worked at a gym for 3 years, through like sixth form.
Okay, so right about now those kids should be hitting like sixth form.
Well, no, because most of them they're between the age of 4 and 11.
To blame you.
Well, the oldest that one of the kids could be now is 15. The oldest, they can't be older than 15.
I did not laugh at that. It's not funny.
That was very fucking funny.
I tried not to.
I've got a question for mainly Conrad and Jack here. Now I was brought up because I find this topic a bit tricky these days. Is I was brought up in a household where you have to be traditional when it comes to gentleman values. So if you go on a date, you open the door for girls, you pull the chair out for the girl to sit down. But when I went on a date once and I, opened the door for a said girl, and pulled the chair out, she looked at me and kind of like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, just being polite. She went, "Excuse me, I'm my own person. I'm a woman. You don't need to." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's just." And I've even seen on like Good Morning Britain, like Piers Morgan argues this point that it's just being a gentleman it's not about kind of the whole men rule thing. It's just politeness.
Well, Jay, first of all, ask me what the definition of countryside is.
What's the difference? What's the definition?
Killing Piers Morgan. Second,
I like it.
Secondly, I mean, is there a possibility that, like, it sounds like this girl was just kind of looking for a fight?
A little bit, like
because I feel like in a normal situation, like, and Grace, back me up here.
Okay.
If a guy,
I've had it before. Like,
or tell me if I'm wrong. Like, if a guy on a date or something did that to you, you might be put out by it, but you wouldn't, like, sort of out of nowhere just suddenly sort of start having a go at him and be like, oh, you're devaluing me as a person. Like, you kind of like suck it up for a little bit, at least. Like,
to be honest, like I've not been on very many dates. I can count on one hand how many dates I've been on. But you
had the door held open for you.
Well, to be fair, I went on a date and he held the door for me, and it was kind of very, and I'm not going to complain about that. I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. Like, I sometimes hold the door for people, so it's like it's a case of who gets to the door first, kind of. Like, and if he got to the door first and he holds it out for me, brilliant. Like, I prefer that than him shutting it on my face. Like, kind of. So I don't know. It's very weird. Like, I think I was on a date once where he offered to buy the drink first, and I was like, that's fine. I'll buy the next drink. So if you buy the first drink, I'll make sure I buy the next drink. We had our first drink. We went back for the second drink, and I said, okay, what do you want? And he was like, no, I'll buy the drink. And I was like, no, you bought the first drink. I'll buy the second drink. He was like, no, I can't make you buy my drink. And I was like, wait, what? No, you bought the first drink, so it's only fair. And he was so against me, like against a woman buying him a drink, that in the end I just went, you know what, fuck it, I'll buy my own drink. And it was kind of like I let him buy my first drink. I'm totally fine with that. Like, if a guy wants to buy me a drink, I'm not going to complain, but I will offer to buy the next drink. And if he doesn't like that, then that's his problem. So yeah, it's a very weird thing. Like, I think the girl reacting to your, like, pulling out the chair was a bit extreme. Like, if a guy did that to me, I'd be like, okay, like, thanks. Like, I mean, I can pull out a chair myself, but I'm not going to complain if someone does it for me, because it's such a minor thing. There are more things to, like, in the world to get angry about than a guy pulling a chair out.
The thing about it is, I've never done it since, because I've always had that, but going back to fears, having that fear of, getting rejected again, but
oh no,
getting that awkward moment. But I mean, I'll say that I'm like you, I haven't actually been on many dates since to compare. But
Jay, with all due respect, that girl sounds like a little fucking cunt.
She wasn't actually. She's only that far, but...
You know what? Conrad he put it properly. I wasn't going to say it, but he said it for me. So I
mean, it's just like
that's out of my mouth. I will drink to that, my friend.
I mean, compare that situation to the story Grace just told. Grace, you actively said to this guy, "Look, I do not want you to buy me a drink. I'll pay my own way. Equal 50-50." You had this girl, by comparison, had not said anything beforehand. Had not done, you had not done any education beforehand. You clearly hadn't done any harm beforehand, and clearly you hadn't done any harm by pulling out the chair. It was just like a momentary thing, but she decided to turn it into a whole, oh yay, look at me, I am a woman thing.
That's the thing. That is the thing that really annoys me, is when people make such a big deal out of, like, I was always brought up, open, if you're going through a door and someone's coming up behind you, keep the door open to them. Like, I actually had I walked past a customer once. I didn't actually see them there. They stood out of the way for me as I was dragging a cage around, and there was another cage there. So long story short, it's only 2 cages wide aisles, so I couldn't really see him. And I quickly saw him and just quickly said thank you to him. But I was also talking to another colleague, so I was trying to quickly say hello to him and then carried on talking with my colleague. So I just sort of acknowledged it. He didn't fully hear that. which point he just went on a rant. Like he called me a twat. He then said I needed to learn manners, and he just went off on one. And I was like, I said thank you. I don't know what more you want from me here. And on dates,
what do you want, Nigel?
It's just the fact he's like, you need to learn. He came back and found me. He went, you really need to learn some manners. And I just went, you just called me a twat. I think out of the two of us here, I'm being very restrained right now. But, no, I really hate when people mistake something you're doing, like pulling a chair out for someone. I just do that. Like I used to do it at school. Like if I was next to the person and the chair was like all the way tucked in, you would just pull it out a little bit for them because I was there. And I really hate it when they like people like a woman. She was on a mobility scooter once, and the day before
you pulled the chair out from under her.
I just kicked her off.
I want it now. Drives off.
Yeah. the way I look at it now, if I went back on that date now, if I pulled the chair out, I would just actually go sit down and pull it back in further.
Just take the chair and throw it away. Like
Yeah.
You're not sitting on the chair. You're sitting.
You're standing on this day.
Excuse me, can I help you down off that
We'll not
soapbox
stand
you
for
got
this
onto?
anymore.
Oh,
no,
it's like
with
thought in my head,
braces.
like she was only like 5 foot as well, so you wouldn't even tell that she was standing.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We're at that already.
Did you tell her that? Please tell me you did.
No. I
Actually,
thought after the chair incident, this girl's not to be messed with.
Oh, no.
She sits down, she gains some height.
Oh, wow. So, politeness is quite a... Quite a
date. Like, was it that long before lockdown?
Well, this day.
No, this date you went on this person.
It was like 6 years ago.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
I just don't get what's like. I can understand if someone says like with Grace's situation, if someone goes like, oh, I'll buy the first drinks, and then like you go for the second drink, and they say, I'll get. It really annoys me when like you go, it's like, oh, do you want me to get the second drinks? And they go like, no, I'll get them. Going, okay. Like if you put the offer out, it's fine. But it's when people go like, no, I've made the offer. It means you've got to.
I always feel bad.
No.
Like I'm kind of one of these, like if someone says, so for example, like Grace, like, yeah, I'll buy the first drink, and she's like, oh, I'll get you another one. I am like instinctively like, no, it's fine, I'll get it. And then they can like, no, I want to get this. I'm like kind of, yes, no, that is fair. Like set the balance, kind of you buy one, I buy one. But at the same time, I feel awful when I see them go up to the bar and buy me a drink.
I think the thing that annoyed me about my situation was that he'd said he'd buy me a drink, and so he bought me the first drink, and I said, okay, but I'll buy the second drink, as kind of to be fair. And it was his point blank, like it was almost like I was going to damage his masculinity by buying him a drink. He was like, no, you of all people can't buy me a drink. And so I just compromised by saying, I'll buy myself a drink and you buy your drink. Because I was like, at this point, I was like, no, you've ruined this moment. I
find it different with friends. So, for example, if I was out with like you, Grace, or another girl, I don't know what. And this sounds awful. I'm so sorry, but if it was like you, for example, I wouldn't care at all if you said, "Oh, I'll get the next round." I'd be like, "Yeah, fair enough." But I know on a date it feels different.
Well, yeah, no, that's the difference between friends and potential partners.
But it is weird how your mind's like, oh, they're a friend. Yeah. They have it's fine for you to buy me a drink when it's the same principle. Yeah. It's the same thing.
I guess. I mean, like my birthday, I don't think I bought a single drink because it was my birthday. So
what I mean, but like Jack, you were buying people drinks all night, and I was like, my mind was so okay with that. But looking back, I shouldn't have been that okay with it because you were buying everyone drinks all night.
I'm always fine with it because like when I talk with certain people, like you especially like people who just like either starting uni or people who have just finished it or people who don't have a job at the moment. I'm sitting there going like, well, I've always had a job for quite a while now, so I've always got money with me. Yeah. So I don't mind like for a night out. I've planned to have a night out, which means I've planned to spend a set amount of money. Which means that I've saved a certain amount of, like, even if it is an impromptu night,
You are very generous though when it comes to buying.
You
drinks.
are.
I don't think I've met anyone that's
I
generous.
think next night out we'll all buy you a drink because I don't know how many drinks.
You deserve a free night out.
I second
but now I
that
feel
motion.
good.
No,
I think we should
that's the whole point. You
start a
don't
group.
feel.
Like someone buys Jack's club entry, another person buys all the drinks for the night. We'll just set out like a group. Look, Jack
Someone
has
at
to have a
some
free
point
night
gets
out.
them a stripper. You know.
Yeah.
Buying a stripper.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm okay with the stripper. Drinks, no. Stripper, yes.
I will
Someone
be the
pays
stripper.
for his donation to the church the next day to attend his drinks.
Well, so on that note, I'm guessing this is the politeness kind of. Anything else to say about politeness?
I
We've
just
gone
love
from
that.
politeness to
Like,
stripper.
yeah. All money towards
As long as you
the stripper
pay
goes
for the
towards-
stripper, that's polite.
Treat the
the
stripper with
real.
respect and go by their rule, and
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
As
Exactly.
Conrad said, all money put towards the stripper goes to the church the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah, those nuns have got to eat.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
and put their clothes back on.
If you get a stripper nun, then you have like hit the jackpot there in that situation.
Well, what a segue to go on to the next topic, which is my topic is sex education at school. So what a segue from strippers to sex education.
I know it's a serious subject, but that was just the best segue I think we could have gone
No,
for.
was not expecting that, but it kind of
You know what,
worked.
I was sitting there for the last few minutes as well thinking, what was Grace's subject again? Just, oh, wow. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And by sex education, I don't mean the Netflix show, although that Netflix show is incredible. Asa Battlefield could get it.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh my God. I love Margot Robbie in it.
Asa Butterfield, Asa Butterfield is going to play me in a film one day. I need him to.
Anyway, I don't want to segue too much from but Asa Butterfield, yes.
Okay, what is funny about a box of pushy crunchers? Ladies, you are here for one reason.
To have your babies.
A man loves a woman.
A gay man having sex, but we were an all-girls school.
They tell you a story of Sammy the sperm. If you have gay sex, you can't get a baby.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go on a date with me.
Oh, for God's sake! That is not what I meant.
You two are rotters, and you should hate each other.
Before you move on to Grace's tragic life, here's mine.
I mean, I didn't like any of you the first 3 minutes I knew you.
I did not pay £10 to make a fucking friend.
Just shut the fuck up, Jay. I'm drunk now, so I'm going to say it. Genitals in general, whether male or female, are ugly.